Welcome to LawTalk, everybody. We're going to be speaking with Charles Spraggins today. Charles started his legal career in New York City. He litigated commercial and real estate matters. Presently, he operates a real estate practice in Georgia. So, welcome, Charles.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Good, good. So listen, what I would like to talk about today is, and it's a big question for many of my clients and for many of our viewers today. The big question is, why do lawsuits take so long?
Disputes are not easy. And the hardest part about the dispute is bringing two people who are so far apart back together, right? And to resolve it, to resolve all the dispute, every part of it, right? This takes time. When courts get involved, and it's not just attorneys, it takes even more time because courts are backlogged even in normal times meaning not COVID where the courts are closed. The backlog of cases is years. And right. So to actually get in front of a judge, it could take several months to a year.
Well, right. I mean, in New York, depending on, in what capacity the judge is going to be looking at your case. If it's like pre-trial stuff, you'll see a judge within a few months. But for an actual trial, that is a very long time.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And I think New York, they do something a little bit special. They really try to bring the parties together as many times as possible before trial to try to resolve disputes. Sometimes people just can't figure it out. And the problem with having some third party decide your case is that they don't have a vested interest, right? It's better for you to have to take control, and it just takes time. What's happening behind the scenes if you're in court, while the attorneys are communicating, they might not always tell you, but they're communicating with each other. They're trying to work out the discovery, looking at documents, reviewing it. If there are a lot of documents, discovery takes a long time because it takes time to go through documents that are from a case or a dispute that maybe has happened over a couple of years. You're talking about a lot of time invested to review that so the attorney can get up to speed, right?
Right.
Because you know as well as I do, when the clients come into our office at first, everyone has a story, but over time we learned that as attorneys that there's much more to the story than we're actually told. So we're always getting information, we're always reviewing it, we're always trying to understand it and trying our best to resolve the case for the clients. And it just takes time. I mean,
the day that you go and see your lawyer and you talk to them and you tell them what your issues are, from that day forward, the attorney will first have to do what's called pre-suit investigation.
Right.
And we can talk about that in a second. But and that is a very important thing to do.
Exactly.
And that's how lawyers will weed out the cases that are really just should not be in court, and weed out the cases that is going to waste a judge's time. Because frankly, if your lawyer does not do that, then you're going to be paying, astronomical amounts of money only to go in front of a judge and for the judge to kick the case out.
Exactly. 3 or 4 years later, right?
3 or 4 years later. That's correct.
Right.
So then after the pre-litigation investigation, your lawyer will file a complaint with the court. Or if you are the person that were served with a complaint, then your lawyer will file an answer.
And the complaint really is just an outline of the claims that your client is asserting, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's your pleading. It's your it's the complaint is what tells the judge why, what the issues are.
Yeah, why you're here, what do you want?
So then after there is a complaint filed and an answer filed, here in New York anyways, we say that issue has joined.
That's
Kind
right.
of like the battle has joined. Okay. Right?
Yes.
And immediately after that, you will have your first court appearance. Okay. For divorce cases here in New York, clients have to come to every single conference,
Okay.
to every single court appearance.
Okay.
And the reason why that's done is to bring people together to
Right.
settle cases quicker, because harmony in the family is a highly important thing for New York courts. So they've established procedures so people can be in the same room. You don't want to see your ex. We get it.
It's important that they're there. Maybe we just touch on this because lawyers can only do what the clients permit them to do, right? So if the lawyers just show up and the courts, they figure out a solution,
right,
and the parties aren't there, I mean, then there's further delay because the parties have to go back to the clients and report, right? I mean,
right, yeah, and right, to settle faster, it's better to have everyone there. Anyways,
yeah,
so so then you will have your initial court appearance here in New York, which is called the preliminary conference.
right.
The PC, as we call it.
Yeah, the PC.
Yeah. So then, and between the preliminary conference and the next court date, we will conduct certain discovery. Discovery is when both sides of, the plaintiff and the defendant exchange information about specific issues that are brought in the case. Okay, information
Right.
can be, documents, statements.
I mean, for a divorce, what are we talking? We're talking about assets. We're talking about houses. We're talking about
yes,
retirement accounts, anything that would be community property, things of that nature. Yeah.
Right. So and so then after some discovery has been done, we'll go to another conference. It's called the compliance conference. There we'll figure out if there are any additional things that either party needs to see.
Right.
And if everything is completed, we'll do a certification conference. That's 3 conferences. And all of these takes a lot, by the time you're through with your certification conference, you're in month 8 or 9 of your case.
Which in my experience, I do commercial litigation.
Right.
That's very quick, like 8 months to get to that point. In a commercial litigation, that's a goal, but I have never had a case where it's been done that quickly.
Right. And specifically, right. So the 8-9 months is for divorce cases.
Right.
And again, that is because the courts want to speed those cases up. So imagine.
Well, yeah, I mean, they want to let the people resolve their issues and move on. I mean,
move on. Yeah.
I mean, because the matrimonial stuff, it touches lives. The commercial litigation, we talked about this. It's more about business and finance and money. So it's, the lives are more important, really.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So, so after certification is done, then we'll be ready for trial, and that, depending on the judge's calendar, it'll get, you'll get a trial date when you get a trial date.
That's right. And then that's just the first time on trial. I mean, we both know that the first time on trial, it can be adjourned, right? For whatever reason. Maybe the parties have talked serious settlement. Maybe something has happened since the time the date was set, and right.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, what I was talking about just now was in an ideal situation where there are no adjournments.
Yes.
And an adjournment is when you ask the court to push a court date back for whatever reason, if you need more time, or somebody is sick and you can't make it. And why do we have to go through all these steps? Why can't we just jump into the trial?
Well, I mean, it's really because, all courts really, but New York has a pretty strong stance. They like to resolve cases on the merits.
Right.
And that means that full disclosure, full transparency, all the issues in one forum at one time, resolved, so that the parties don't have to come back in front of the judge on the same issue, right?
Right.
That's the simplest way to say it. And yeah, that requires time. Honestly, the longest part of any kind of litigation is discovery, right?
Right.
I mean, it can take, in a normal case, it could take a couple of months, right? Because really, how many people are so organized in their personal life that they can just go pull a file out that outlines everything that's going on in their life and just turn it over? Not many people, right? People are busy.
Right.
They don't want to, they want to spend time with family. They don't want to spend time organizing all the minutia of everyday life. So that takes time. So it's going to take, most clients, they don't understand what's really required. So when they come in and speak to us and we say, okay, we need to see these documents, this, and that, it's going to take the client probably, well, in most cases, it'll take them some time to actually get all that information. Just having the information is one thing, but it needs to be organized so it makes sense, so we can look at the flow over time, right?
Right.
And we can, and for matrimonial things, we can determine what assets are part of the estate and what aren't.
Right.
Where it takes time, and if there are children involved, it takes even longer, because in matrimonial cases, the courts are more interested in making sure the children involved are taken care of in the time when their parents are actually in dispute, right?
Right.
So there are a lot of aspects to raising children, and that's the information regarding the children that takes time as well.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, it's absolutely true concerning children. So generally speaking, if there are any custody issues or any visitation issues in a situation like that, the court will, well, I mean, if the parents can't agree who's going to have custody and what kind of visitation is going to be, then the court would appoint an attorney for the children, and the court would generally want a speedy resolution on those two issues.
Right.
Very quick. So, and again, I mean, you need to do discovery, right? I mean, you need to do discovery because
well, for an equitable distribution of the assets, you have to know what they are. I mean,
right. You have to know what they are. Also, though, just in general terms, trials are risky.
They are risky.
They're risky.
Yeah.
You don't want to make a decision about, or you don't want anyone to make a decision on your personal issues without at least you knowing, how that decision is going to come out. So, I mean, it's possible that one side is being completely unreasonable, and you can say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna have this particular issue decided by a judge because clearly I'm gonna get it because I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you won't know those things unless you do the discovery, unless you do. I mean, another word for discovery can be really investigation of the case.
That's true. That's a good way to put it.
Investigation of the case, right? And
but it is risky. It is risky,
right?
Because attorneys, we know that there's the old saying, there's two sides to every coin. But it rings true, because you might think that you have an open and shut case, but you have to really consider that the same image can be looked at differently by different people. right? And
Yeah,
it comes, I mean,
I have this one case that I'm working on right now, and my client came to me and he said, well, I have these videos, all right. I have videos that show I was not at this place at this hour, and I have videos.
all right.
So I looked at the videos and actually they're pretty spot on as the client described. Okay. Now I sent these videos to my adversaries, okay, and to the court. And the adversaries came back and said, well, we don't know if this is really authentic or if this is made up. And frankly, and my client was very upset. Oh, how could this not be an authentic thing? Why do they think I'm lying? No, they don't think you're lying. They think that they're thinking like lawyers. They are
Right.
investigating. They are questioning everything.
You might have the best evidence, and the evidence that the client thinks this is slam dunk. But if we can't get that evidence into court according to the rules,
Right.
then the court will never even see it, right? And I think a lot of people might consider these rules, when they don't work to their advantage, as silly, but these rules are actually there historically to protect everybody involved, right? Yeah, that's so the authentication really is, the lawyers just really want to know, is this a genuine video? Can we get some kind of documentation showing that it's authentic, that it's actually legit, that it's not made up?
That's correct. So now I have to go and I have to somehow authenticate that document, or not document, but that video.
The video.
So the way that we do it is I will subpoena the people that made that video.
Right.
And it's actually a building, so a building owns those cameras. So I will subpoena them.
Yes.
And they will produce the very same video that I've already provided to everyone. They will produce that with a certification that
Yes.
says that this video is what it is showing. And from that point, then you move on to to hopefully get that case dismissed against my client. But
yes. But this is, and we're talking about discovery still at this point. So actually that's a really good example of why discovery can take so long, because it's not just about finding items or things that are relevant to the case, but it's also from the legal standpoint, we have to figure out how can we use it, can we use it, and what do we need to obtain in order to use it in court, right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, and that takes time. I mean,
right. And frankly, the client is not going to see the attorney doing all this discovery.
Right.
They're just not. It's not going to be in front of the client, because these are things that are handled in the office, and so that's how But the most important work, I would venture to say, is the investigation.
Yes.
Is the discovery phase.
No, and that takes time, and I imagine all the clients come in and they think, oh, this is open and shut, we'll wrap it up quickly. But sometimes even the clients don't know what the other side has been up to.
Right.
I mean, I had several cases in New York where one spouse had no idea the other spouse had a business or had an IRA account, and it was only because we got involved in discovery and we were able to see documents that led us to other documents that we were able to determine, like, wow, this, and a lot of people just don't think about that. So they might have the perspective that everything that I see around me, this is it. Right. But we as attorneys, we know that there's
another.
You can see the top of the water and it looks calm, but underneath it just might be a
right. Right.
a terrible
Because
current.
we know, right, exactly. We know there's another side to the story, and it may or may not be compelling.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. I mean, I look at it really as like a puzzle. Every case is like a big puzzle.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of pieces, but it's not a puzzle where you can see the picture on the box and you put it together. It's a puzzle where you see all the pieces and you decide what picture you're going to make with those pieces.
Right.
You put them all together.
Yeah.
It's because every single piece can be looked at in so many different ways. It's how you use it. Good legal work takes time.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay. All right. So this was wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charles. You are a very good and dear friend of mine. I appreciate
Thank you.
you coming
Thank you.
on to Law
Of
Talk.
course.
Okay. So just to wrap up, I want to just run through the stages of litigation one more time. So stages of litigation is the attorney first does the pre-suit investigation.
Right.
Then we go into the pleadings, which is the summons, complaint, and the answer. Okay.
And that's the point when we get the court involved, right?
Right. That's the point. Right. So then we will go to several conferences in front of the court regarding how the investigation or the discovery of the case is proceeding. Once discovery is done, then we will go into trial. And
Yes.
and the trial, of course, you've seen it on TV, except it's not like the TV, right?
No, it's not. It's not like the TV at all.
It's much
Never.
better, right?
It's much better. It's much worse, but it's not sensationalized like it is on TV.
Yeah, and then no surprises, no surprise. If you have good lawyers, if you have a good attorney, there are no surprises, no aha moments, right? Okay, all right. Thank you, everybody, and please tune in for the next for our next show.